as viewers foamed at the appearance of a tired and emotional killer, Mark Chopper Reed, for a bit of live mud wrestling with Miss Elle McFeast.
Appalled.
Offended community standards.
Lapse of judgment.
Outrage.
And those were only the criticisms coming from that well-regarded taste czar, the Minister for Communications, Senator Alston. The scribe added,
Unfunny, probably a clumsy grab for publicity.
there are a couple of issues here that we might explore on a night when we are significantly fixated by your ABC. First of all, is what happened last Monday night so dreadful? There was, after all, an audience that found the rawness, the wildness of it great viewing. This was not another tame TV chat. And who's to say that from time to time, a bit of bad taste is not beneficial for ABC viewers?
When Chopper and his mates are through, sometimes there's a little bit of a mess. Is that right, Chop? Bit of a mess when you're through?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Well, that's right, you know, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing properly. And sometimes the person who is the mess isn't really in a fit state to clean themselves up.
The interview, if that can be the general description, was also an unabashed piece of exploitation of a netherworld lowlife for the titillation of middle-class ABC sensibilities. Certainly Mr. Chopper himself felt exploited, if he's to be believed.
They kept cracking these Chopper jokes. I felt like an idiot. I felt like a freak on show.
Chopper was the first to admit that he'd become over-lubricated at the ABC's expense.
You get a black with silver teeth, no ears, 6'2" with a #1 crew cut, and I think they, ABC staffers, were a bit frightened to tell me to stop drinking.
That puts paid to the strange claim by Miss McFeast and her producers that
Reed was not drunk, but rather putting on an act or overexcited.
Secondly, the issue of the ABC outsourcing its programs comes into play here. McFeast is made by an independent company, Eastway Communications. Would any of the bad taste have occurred, and would there have been significantly greater editorial control if this had not been an outsourced program? Apparently not, according to Mr. Dennis Watkins, Auntie's commissioning editor of comedy. He said that the McFeast performance was
Enormously professional.
But Senator Alston thought differently.
I made it plain to Mr. Johns that it seemed to me that here was a lack of editorial control, and as I understand it, the ABC concedes it as an error of judgment.
The most pressing issue in all of this is whether the highly rewarded Miss McFeast handled the Chopper interview with due skill.
So if you had some advice for Chopper, it would be to do it in the bathroom, eh?
Well, this is right, yes, and encourage all his friends to do the same.
Right. Chopper, do you think you can manage that? Chop!
Yeah, what do you want?
Will you do it in the bathroom next time?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
It's pretty clear that she went for the cheapest of thrills. But it was McFeast who dedicatedly prodded at Chopper like a child teasing a wild animal. She wanted to entertain us with Chopper's gruesome soul. Possibly it was because she found Chopper to be
A fascinating person.
For my money, I think it unlikely that Roy and HG would have touched him. Still actually hugged him. Like Chopper Reed, the Club Buggery boys have been doing a stretch in the green room, waiting for an opportunity to appear. And appear they will from April the 4th, for only 10 shows compared to Miss McFeast's 30 outsourced programs. And look at the cost of Miss McFeast's extravaganza.
The figures reveal the ABC will pay independent production company Eastway Communications a total of $3.2 million to produce 30 hours of live McFeast television. With a weekly budget of just over $100,000, the outsourced McFeast project will cost the ABC $20,000 a week more than the similarly formatted Club Buggery.
In fact, ABC management threw an extra $20,000 a week at McFeast when she threatened to go to Channel 9. And when you think of the footy show, Channel 9 would probably be a cosier home for her. Although we have to remember that Mr. Packer Sr. did pull the plug unceremoniously on Doug Mulray when he moved into his blue period. Family values and all that sort of thing. One solution to the current $4 million shortfall in the ABC budget could be to give Elle McFeast the Chopper. But of course, the factor underlying all this fuss and fury is the fact that Chopper Reed is a freak who's been turned by the media into an object of fascination, Jill Singer, writing in The Hun, warned us.
Prepare yourselves for chopper mania. Celebrity thug.
And away they went.
Now the self-confessed killer who once attempted to abduct a judge says he's finished with his life of crime, but that doesn't mean he's finished talking about it.
I smiled at them. I was very polite, very courteous. Yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full. They said, you can't do this, and anyway, I did it anyway.
And Channel 10 News.
What's life hold from here on in?
Oh, you know, who knows, mate? You wake up in the morning, the wrong song comes to the radio, anything could happen.
And the Channel 9 marketing machine with Uncle Ray staking the high moral ground.
Rachel Friend went to Tasmania for this exclusive interview with Chopper Reid, and I should point out that no money was involved. This program does not pay criminals.
And speaking of high moral ground, morality is gushing through the corridors of Channel 9.
We've decided not to go ahead with the interview with Chopper Reid live on this program. I guess it's what you call a value judgment, but we took the high moral ground. There was a lot of heated debate about it. We might be wrong, but the question remains, I think, the question to be asked is, should a convicted killer and torturer be given publicity or not? To discuss the issue, we welcome broadcaster Alan Jones.
Alan Jones, the gatekeeper of moral values in Struggle Street.
Well, it could only happen on the ABC, and taxpayers fund that sort of stuff, and I think responsible and decent Australians who are taxpayers find that whole treatment absolutely horrific and appalling.
But how long did the high moral ground last? About 3.5 minutes.
If we turn the society to a situation where people please themselves about how they deal with those whom they don't like, then who is to be the next victim?
Well, people who throw stones better make sure they don't live in glass houses, Alan.
Well, we're not talking about anyone living in glass houses, Chopper.
Yeah, well, I never got arrested in a public toilet in London.
Yeah.
Oh, Chopper, I'm sorry. I'm now pulling the plug on this. I actually have no desire to listen to anything else that you have to say. Thank you very much for calling. That's as polite as I can possibly be.
A truly magical television moment. But was Chopper's moment on Kerri-Ann's show such a surprise? The Sydney Daily Telegraph seemed to think not.
Sources at Nine's Hobart affiliate station Win TV said not only was the call pre-arranged, it was done from a room in their Newtown studios.
The suggestions that Chopper's unexpected appearance was a setup was hotly denied by Channel 9. Nonetheless, Kerri-Ann was well and truly bitten on the posterior in precisely the same manner as Miss McFeast.
Channel 9, in criticising the ABC, then doing the same thing, has hit the top of the ratings in hypocrisy.
But I've allowed myself to become distracted from the wonderful world of outsourcing and bought-in programming.